We begin tonight at the Supreme Court, where a sharp division among the justices is highlighting a decades-old legal shield protecting the U.S. government. Justice Clarence Thomas issued a strong rebuke of his colleagues for their decision not to hear the case of a military widow seeking to sue the government for wrongful death. The case centers on Air Force Staff Sergeant Cameron Beck, who was killed in 2021. While off-duty and riding his motorcycle to meet his wife and child for lunch, he was struck and killed by a civilian government employee who was distracted by her cell phone. When Sergeant Beck's widow filed a lawsuit, lower courts rejected it, citing a 1950 Supreme Court precedent known as the Fair's Doctrine. This doctrine broadly immunizes the government from lawsuits filed by service members for injuries sustained incident to service. In his dissent, Justice Thomas argued the doctrine was wrongly applied, stating that Beck was not performing any military duty at the time of his death. He wrote that it should have been an open and shut wrongful death case, and that the court should have taken the opportunity to rein in or even overturn the Fair's precedent. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, while agreeing to reject the case, wrote separately to say the outcome was deeply unfair and called on Congress to create a legislative fix, underscoring a fundamental disagreement on whether the courts or lawmakers should address the issue. From a debate in the nation's highest court to a challenge felt at dinner tables across the country, American ranchers are grappling with the smallest cattle herd in over 70 years. A combination of punishing drought, rising operational costs, and an aging workforce has forced many to shrink their herds, a trend that agricultural economists say will keep beef prices high for the foreseeable future. According to the USDA, the average retail price for a pound of beef has climbed to $9.85, a jump of roughly 16% from just a year ago. Experts say a quick fix is unlikely. It takes about 2 years to bring an animal to market, and rebuilding a herd after years of sell-offs is a slow, multi-year process. The primary driver has been historic drought, which has decimated grasslands and driven up the cost of hay and feed. A 2022 survey found that 2/3 of ranchers had been forced to sell off animals, reducing their herd sizes by an average of 1/3. Despite the sticker shock, consumer demand for beef remains remarkably strong, outpacing chicken and pork in sales growth. This sustained demand, coupled with tight supplies, creates a perfect storm for elevated prices, a situation that experts say will not ease until pastures recover and ranchers can finally begin the long process of rebuilding. Meanwhile, a major development is unfolding in the federal courts. The Department of Justice has filed a motion to unseal grand jury materials related to the late financier Jeffrey Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell. This move is a direct result of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, a bill President Trump signed into law just last week on November 19th. The new law mandates that Attorney General Pam Bondi release all unclassified government records connected to the Epstein investigation within 30 days of its enactment. In its filing, the Justice Department argued that the act of Congress explicitly overrides the traditional secrecy of grand jury proceedings and supersedes previous court rulings that kept the documents sealed. A federal judge in the Maxwell case has already set an expedited briefing schedule, ordering Maxwell's legal team to state its position by December 3rd. The judge also directed prosecutors to notify victims, who can submit their own statements to the court. The government will then have until December 10th to respond before a final ruling is made. The law allows for limited redactions to protect victim privacy, classified information, or ongoing investigations. But it promises an unprecedented level of disclosure in a case that has captivated public interest for years. The executive branch is also taking decisive action on the national security front. Today, President Trump signed an executive order directing the state and Treasury departments to begin the process of designating certain chapters of the Muslim Brotherhood as foreign terrorist organizations. The order specifically targets chapters in Egypt, Jordan, and Lebanon. It cites the group's involvement in regional violence, including rocket attacks launched against Israel by the military wing of its Lebanese chapter in the aftermath of the October 7, 2023 attacks. A designation as a foreign terrorist organization would have significant consequences, including freezing the group's assets within U.S. jurisdiction, imposing travel bans on their members, and making it a federal crime to provide them with material support. The move follows increasing pressure and warnings about the organization's influence. A recent comprehensive study from the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy warned of the group's growing footprint in the United States. The executive order also comes shortly after the state of Texas took its own step to declare the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization, signaling a coordinated push by the administration to counter the group's activities. In addition to national security, the administration is turning its focus to technological supremacy. President Trump today launched a new initiative called the Genesis Mission, an effort designed to supercharge the use of artificial intelligence for scientific discovery. Through a new executive order, the mission directs the Department of Energy and the Office of Science and Technology Policy to create a new platform for innovation. This will involve partnering with private companies to share vast federal data sets, access to the nation's advanced supercomputers, and the use of scientific facilities at national labs. Energy Secretary Chris Wright explained that while the private sector has scaled AI for language, business, and consumer services, the Genesis mission aims to pivot that immense power towards solving complex challenges in science and engineering. This initiative is part of the administration's broader America's AI Action Plan, which was released in July with the goal of ensuring the U.S. leads the world in AI development and security. The White House is also reportedly considering further executive actions on AI, including one that would create a single federal approval process for AI technologies, potentially overriding the patchwork of regulations emerging at the state level.